Hey everybody, welcome into my latest podcast. This is in the Cooking with Carey series of videos. I make some profoundly simple things, which really seems kind of silly to make a video on how to make something so simple, but I've encountered people that have never had pasta without sauce before. And as a very fussy eater, both as a child and as an adult, I never grew out of it. This is a great meal to make in its simplicity, in that it's fast, it's good, tastes good, and if there's a fussy eater in your family, maybe a very good chance that they will eat this. What is it we're going to make? I'm going to make angel hair pasta. It cooks in under 3 minutes, and the way we start that is we've got a pot of boiling water happening right now, and I'm going to add some salt to that. They always say season to taste. I never really taste the salt, but if you add too much, you will. And to keep the pasta from sticking together, you can add some butter, or I add a little dash of olive oil. I always like to make sure I use real olive oil and not a lot of the stuff that claims to be real olive oil that isn't. You can do a Google search if you're interested in how you can tell. And there's not really a whole lot you can do as far as how you can tell, other than look at the brands and the reviews of those brands on Google, and then look for those brands in your store. Olive oil generally is a greenish color. It's not the yellowish color a lot of the big corporate brands we have here in America are producing. Those are often mixed with something called rapeseed, which seems like an appropriate name. And let me just take a moment here to make sure everybody can hear me okay. I think everything's going out okay. Yeah, it looks like it's okay. So I've already started the water boiling, so we didn't have to sit around and wait forever. That's the old expression, like waiting for a pot of water to boil. I like to use Barilla pasta. I also will use anything imported from Italy. I don't have any currently in my pantry because I've eaten it all, but this is fine. It's common as far as like it's around all kinds of grocery stores, Walmarts, things like that. It sells for a little over $1 a box. There's several meals in one box. What I do is I take out about that much for me, because this is all I'm going to eat. I won't have anything with it. That's the amount I'm going to start with. Now, angel hair is a very thin pasta. I like the texture of angel hair when it's cooked well. If you overcook it, it's mushy and disgusting. So the amount of time you cook it, you really want a timer, and you don't want to go past 3 minutes. I'm going to break this pasta in half just to make it easier to eat. And now I'm going to start the timer, and the rest of this can be put away. And the one I dropped, I know I dropped a strand of spaghetti. There it is. This can go in the trash. And then we're going to need a strainer, so let's get the strainer out. I've also got butter, and I've got Parmesan cheese. Now, honestly, I know this Kraft Parmesan cheese isn't the best thing for you, but you can always go with real Parmesan as well if you're into that. It smells like feet, so you know it's good. So that's my Parmesan, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to have butter and Parmesan cheese on the pasta. And what's fascinating to me is growing up, most of the reaction I got from this was, "You eat what?" But every once in a while, I would run into somebody that said, "Oh yeah, we've had that before," or some people have told me it's actually offered this way in Italy. I've never been to Italy, so I don't know if that's true. And there's a chain of restaurants here in America called the Old Spaghetti Factory, and they serve pasta with something called Mazzithra cheese, which is like a browned cheese in butter, brown butter, and it's poured over the pasta instead of a traditional pasta sauce. I'm just kind of bringing the fire down a bit. I want this to continue to boil, but I don't want it to be a fierce boil. I want it to be a rolling boil, but not, like I say, if you always keep your stove on high, then your pan continues to get hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. It will just continue to get hotter, and it can make it very difficult to cook foods. I think a lot of people who don't regularly cook don't quite comprehend the fact that that fire underneath that pot is going to keep making that pot continue to get hotter. And if you're using Teflon or other non-stick type pots, that stuff starts breaking down at 500 degrees Fahrenheit and you're eating it. So it's better for the pan, it's better for your health to get that pot high enough or hot enough to where you need it, and then start dialing it down so it's maintaining, not cooling, not getting hotter, just maintaining. A lot of this can just be done by sense. You don't necessarily need a temperature gauge. And we're already at 2 minutes and 24 seconds on this pasta, and it's about time for me to prep getting it out of there. I like my pasta to be what's called al dente, which is a little hard. Basically, it's not going to be crunchy, but it's not going to be mushy. It's just going to be firm, and that's the way I prefer my pasta. And if you let this go much longer, it's going to not be firm. It's going to get mushy real quick. So I'm about 10 seconds shy of 3 minutes right now, which is good enough for me. And I'm going to dump this hot water here into the sink with the cold water running. Make sure you take any glassware out of your sink, because when the hot, if you have like a glass of any kind in there and the hot water hits it, it could crack the glass. This is very hot, obviously. And I'm gonna let that water drain out of there. And then I'm gonna grab a bowl. Bowls are easier to eat pasta in than a plate. I used to always put pasta on a plate. I don't know what I was thinking. Always easier to go with a bowl. So there's that. You'll see none of that pasta is sticking together. The olive oil did its job. I'll leave that in there. We'll close this back up. Put that over there and shut this off and move this back. This can go back in the sink. I gotta put this back. Then we're gonna grab a fork, a nice chunk of butter. That's good. Now, it's pretty simple. It's fast. It's much better for you than that sodium-infused ramen that everybody likes to eat. Personally, I can't eat that stuff. I think it's disgusting. Pasta's too hot to eat right now. Pasta does cool down very fast, though, so you don't want to wait too long before you dig in, unless you like that. Personally, I don't care for the way the pasta tastes when it gets cold. Got to eat it when it's just right. We're gonna let that butter just get in and all there, and then we've got the Parmesan cheese, and I will use a lot of the Parmesan cheese because basically those noodles are flavorless. They're gonna pick up whatever flavor you put on your pasta. So if you put garlic on there, if you want to add some shrimp, sauteed shrimp, something like that, make a little shrimp scampi. I realize that looks like a lot of cheese, but once we blend it all in there, I want to be able to taste Parmesan in every bite, Parmesan and butter. If you've never had pasta this way, it is so, so good. And this is what I ate as a kid, and I've just never really grown out of it. And I will say, I have eventually found a pasta sauce that I do like and I do eat. It took me 40 years to find it, but it's, well, 35 years. But I started thinking, if I like pizza so much, and pizza sauce is so similar to pasta sauce, and pasta doesn't really have much flavor on its own, why, you know, theoretically and logically, I should like pasta sauce. But, and I'm looking in my pantry and I don't see it. I know in here I've got a jar somewhere of the pasta sauce that I like, and it is Classico brand, which again found in grocery stores throughout the States, and this is the one I like. And the only way I would do this differently if I was using that pasta sauce would be using a small saucepan to heat up the pasta sauce while the pasta is cooking. And then I wouldn't use butter or Parmesan, just this. This flavor is the spicy tomato basil. I've always liked foods that have a little bit of a zing. Not that they're hot, spicy hot, but spicy in the sense that they've got a little zing to them. And so these are really inexpensive. These go on sale 3 for $5, and they're in a jar, so they last for a very long time if you don't open them. And the only thing I don't like about this is there are little chunks of tomatoes. I usually take those out and give them to the dogs, or give it to my wife. I don't like the chunks. So, but that's a very simple pasta dish anybody can make. It's very quick. It's 3 minutes and you're good to go. Let me just try it because it's starting to get cold, I can already tell. Seriously, if you've never had pasta this way, you've got to try it without the sauce. It's so good. Now I'm going to come back and do another broadcast here very soon. I'm going to eat first and then I'll be back. So I hope I'll see you guys here very soon. Thanks for watching.